Welcome to episode 705 of the Entertainment 2.0 podcast, brought to you by thedigitalmediazone.com. I'm Josh Pollard.
And I'm Richard Gunther, and this is the show that puts you in control of your favorite movies, music, shows, and games.
Yes, back. Sorry for missing a week, folks. It's been a little bit crazy. But we are back with some big news. I think it kind of worked out in our favor that we missed a week because some very big news happening in the last few days. So what are we covering this week? Well, the fight between Netflix and Paramount for Warner Brothers Discovery is over, and one of us is going to have to admit that we were wrong on how this ended up. YouTube Premium Lite is adding features without adding cost. That's weird. Also weird, Audible is introducing a lower cost plan for audiobooks. That's all sounding like good news. That's kind of crazy. And then the other big news story to discuss this week, of course, is a huge shakeup in senior leadership over at Xbox. Before getting into any of that news this week, we're going to go over some listener feedback. If you'd like to send us some for a future episode, our email address is entertainment20@thedigitalmediazone.com. And this week we just have one. Gary emailed us. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It was really more of an update on some things that he's been working on, but he also was very interested to hear the ways that we've been using AI to solve some problems. And some of you keen listeners will maybe remember that he wrote in a few months ago to talk about some ways that he was using AI chatbots to randomly pick movies for him to watch from his Plex collection and things like that. So he had a couple of other tips to share with Richard and I, and maybe the one worth pointing out to this crew, because while the show isn't necessarily about home automation, there's a lot of overlap between us and our audience and the interest in the home automation space, right? So Gary was talking about using Claude to help him with automating some devices for home assistants. And if you want to do that in a fairly manual way in Home Assistant, it requires writing YAML files. If you're not a developer, you probably don't know what YAML files are. And if you are a developer, you do know what they are and you probably hate them. So getting Claude to write them for you is a really good example of a good use case for AI. So Gary, thanks for writing in and sharing that tip with us.
100%. I don't understand, though, why everybody hates YAML so much. I don't think it's really all that bad. I find it much more readable than other things, like, for example, JSON. But whatever. It's designed to be human readable, right?
Sort of, but when you get really big files and your only way of really grouping things is by keeping track of how nested the lines are, I don't find that very easy to read.
So, well, that's a good point, but that's what VS Code is for.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Well, why don't we get into the news? Richard, this battle is over, and maybe I should just get this out of the way. I was wrong at who I picked to win this battle.
Yeah, so we're talking, of course, about the bid to purchase Warner Brothers Discovery, and Paramount has offered the winning bid. Paramount came to the table with what Warner Brothers Discovery called a superior cash offer of roughly $111 billion. That's $31 a share, upping their previous offer of $30 a share. That is in comparison to Netflix's $28 a share offer. And Netflix basically said, okay, we're out. They had 4 days to respond. It didn't take 4 days. So they walked away from the table. This offer from Paramount is for everything. The Ellisons, and I say Ellisons plural because in addition to the Paramount company, which is headed by CEO David Ellison, purchasing this, it's partly being purchased by brother Larry Ellison, father. I can't remember what their relationship is.
Yeah, father.
Anyway,
Father.
Larry Ellison is putting in over $45 billion in equity toward this offer as well. So they will have full control of everything from Warner Brothers Discovery. One of the big differences in the Netflix offer was that Netflix really only wanted the studio and streaming. They didn't want to have anything to do with cable and news and all of that stuff. They wanted the assets that they aligned with what they already did. And so now Netflix will get under $3 billion, $2.8 billion as a breakup fee that Warner Brothers would have had to pay them, but Netflix is paying it. Paramount is paying it. That's part of the deal that they're paying that for Warner Brothers Discovery. And here's where the fun starts. There's a lot of fun kind of fallout from this, right? One of the fun fallout pieces is that the HBO Max, that friggin' name's probably going to change again, because David Ellison has already confirmed that they fully plan to merge the Paramount Plus and HBO Max streaming services into one service.
I love the way that you focused on the fact that the name is going to change again, because just yesterday, one of my kids was asking me for the password to the HBO account. And I was like, all right, here it is in my password manager, share. She's like, it didn't work. And I opened up my password manager and it didn't work because I had 3 different ones in there. Because one was under HBO, one was under Max, and one was under HBO Max.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah. So we're likely to get yet another change. I don't know about anyone else. I'm voting for Max. I say we take it back to Max. Let's see what happens. But, this is likely going to affect the price of this service too, right? You're currently paying, depending on what service you have, anywhere between, I forget what the range is, but let's say $11 and $17 or $18 for HBO Max, might be more. And Paramount, I think without ads I think is up to $12 or $13. And now they're going to combine them. So they're going to want more money. And maybe you don't want to pay more money because all you really wanted was the HBO stuff. Maybe you don't care about the CBS stuff and the Star Trek stuff and the Showtime stuff and all that, but it's going to cost more. So this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah. And I did want to do some quick checking. Because I'm even less familiar with the cost of Paramount, but Paramount, if you don't want ads, is $14 a month on its own. The ad supported one is $9.
15. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And well, dang it. Because I just logged into HBO, it's harder for me to see the price there. But HBO has the multi-tiered thing where, if you want 4K and all of that, it gets to be a lot more expensive. So HBO starts at $11 a month. But if you want everything, including the 4K, it's already $23 a month for HBO Max. So if they combine, does that end up being $30 a month? $25?
Right. Right.
It sounds like it ends up for sure being more than Netflix.
Well, and that's an interesting comparison, right? Because I think the industry is starting to look at this as Netflix is the big Goliath in the streaming space, and all these others are kind of biting at its feet. So the logic is, if these quote unquote smaller organizations combine their services together, then they can compete. And and that's going to mean they're probably going to charge closer to what Netflix is charging.
Yeah. Netflix's top tier is $25 a month right now. And if HBO Max is already $23 for their
Right.
top tier, I don't see how it doesn't end up being more expensive than Netflix.
Yeah, for sure. Now, the other thing that is an outcome of this, and this is one of the things that I was potentially concerned about, is that this also means that Paramount now has control of the CBS and CNN news networks. And as soon as they took over CBS, they instilled Barry Weiss, who is probably best known for being the person behind 60 Minutes not running a story about Venezuelan prison conditions and abuses. And that just sort of seemed really suspicious, given how tight the Ellisons and the Trumps are. And people are concerned, and I'm concerned, that there could be a serious chilling effect on CNN's newsroom in terms of how it approaches the news. And they've already talked about potentially putting Weiss in front or in charge of both news organizations. So this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
Now, not a big surprise. Nobody's expecting any major hurdles from the FCC on this. Some senators, mostly on the Democratic side, are making some waves and want to investigate whether there's any sort of concern about media and the effect on media. And I honestly think that's a legit concern to look into. They're not going to have any impact on this.
No.
This is going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's expected to close pretty quickly. I'm actually really surprised by this. It's expected to close in less than 7 months, by September 30th. And if it doesn't close by September 30th, then every quarter it gets delayed. The Paramount team owes Warner Brothers a $650 million fee.
And it feels like there's no way it could possibly happen that quickly. But I'm emotionally scarred, and my brain just has a hard time processing that anything can go that fast, based on what I watched happen when Microsoft tried and eventually did successfully acquire Activision. But it took 1.5 years.
So long, so long. I don't want to be talking about this for 1.5 years, Josh.
No.
Although I wouldn't mind if it maybe wasn't until December
right,
that this went through.
or
maybe,
yeah, at
maybe
least
get
maybe the
through
second
the
week
month
of November.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I mean, this is a huge, huge change to the landscape, the entertainment landscape, and the studios as we know it. You know, I think of, I think the other thing that is nowhere near as big as this, but this reminds me of in terms of, wow, legacy media is really kind of gobbling itself up, was when Amazon ended up basically stealing MGM for a song.
Right.
I mean, they got a fire sale to get MGM Studios.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is just kind of the next big thing. Warner Brothers was one of those companies that was convinced that its IP was so important that their app, their service, should be reinforcing the Warner Brothers name. Like anyone knows what. Like, you could name a Warner Brothers film. Maybe you know that Harry Potter is a Warner Brothers film, but I don't know that most people could name other Warner Brothers films.
Right. I think The Matrix was Warner Brothers.
Maybe?
Maybe. Now I'm second guessing that, though.
Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah. It's interesting times for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've been seeing some consolidation over the last couple of years. You brought up a great example of Amazon snatching up MGM. This is another huge one. Is there anything left to consolidate? Or, because I don't think in a year from now we're going to be talking about Netflix buying Paramount / Warner Brothers. Probably. Is there even anything left to consolidate at this point? What am I missing here?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the other big studios are what? Universal is already part of the Comcast NBC Universal conglomerate. I don't know if Lionsgate is still out there, unspoken for. Maybe I don't honestly remember what the state of that is. Disney is Disney. That's not going anywhere.
Right. Yeah,
and they are one of the.
If we're going to talk about further consolidation, my guess would be that Disney is gobbling up somebody else in addition to everything else that they've already gobbled up. So, yeah, and especially when thinking about the studios that have their own streaming services, like I think we're kind of running out here. So,
yeah. Now, the one thing that I will say is, I think there should be fewer streaming services. I don't like that every big name has their own service. I find that annoying. I never really wanted that. Hulu was supposed to fix that. Hulu was supposed to be the thing that everyone put their stuff on, and then everybody's like, well, why should they get the bulk of the money? We could do this ourselves and we could get money from that. And then everyone realized that no, it just meant that they lost money, and they could lose money too, and they did.
I don't love it from the standpoint of what it does to the cost of these services.
This is true.
Because it's just making these more and more expensive. If your library is going to be that much bigger, you can justifiably, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be raising their prices. They should.
Yeah.
But it just makes it so much more expensive. And I'm actually, if we exclude sports, because streaming sports is still a friggin' nightmare, and I don't think that's ever going to get solved. I'm kind of okay with a lot of different shows and movies and stuff being on different services, because I can follow the strategy that we preach practically every week around here, which is you don't need to be subscribed to all of them at the same time. Pick one or two.
Right.
And pick, if you can pick two for less than $10 a month each, then that's pretty great. And then once you've watched everything you care about, cancel them and pick two different ones. And if all we have left is the craziness of the Disney bundles, this conglomeration here with Warner Brothers and Netflix, well, now we've just got and Apple TV. I'm still
and Peacock. I mean, they're the little player, ironically.
Yeah, like now Peacock is the small one, and that's weird.
Right.
because I've always looked at like Peacock and Paramount as the small ones. And there's obviously smaller ones if we want to talk about like Crunchyroll and some of those far more niche
Yep.
ones. But I don't love that all of these are just going to get really, really expensive. And if we do want to choose that approach of, well, then you don't have to subscribe to all of them. Well, then you're probably only subscribing to one. And that in some ways feels too limiting. So,
Well, and
I
it
don't
can't
love
be
that.
one necessarily, right? Because one in most families is Netflix, and Netflix is so dominated by its own content now that you're not really getting the stuff, right? You're not getting the TV shows that people are talking about. You're not getting the you are getting some series, but for the most part, those are spread out amongst the other services. So we'll need to see. I don't love it, but I like that there are fewer. I don't love that they're going up in price.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the going up would look like in this case. They haven't said that it would go up in price, but come on, of course it will.
Right. Yeah. They just dropped $111 billion. It's going to get more expensive.
Yep. Need to make sure Larry gets his equity share there.
Exactly. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Hopefully this is done by September because I don't want to be talking about this forever.
No, hopefully this is done by December.
Yes, December. We'll root for December. Okay. So that's a weird story. Let's get into a good but kind of a weird and unexpected story, and that's YouTube Premium Lite. As a recap, YouTube Premium Lite is the cheapest way to get a YouTube experience that is mostly ad-free. And the way that this works is they're just like, oh, well, you didn't want YouTube Premium because you didn't need a music service too? All right, we'll give you YouTube Premium Lite. It's $8 a month. And you just, it's just that. It's just YouTube with fewer ads. And what they're doing is they're adding some features from the regular YouTube Premium into the Lite tier. So in addition to getting an ad-free experience for pretty much everything except for music videos and YouTube Shorts, now they're also adding two features that were only available on the Premium's tier, and that is the ability to download videos and to like turn off your phone while you're watching / listening. Like if you're essentially just using YouTube to listen to a podcast type scenario, which you could do with our podcast, by the way. You could go to our YouTube channel and subscribe and listen that way. You will now be able to download those videos for offline playback and get background playback support. Some videos already support this, at least on Android, where I can go to my home screen and go and do other things, and it just puts YouTube in a little mini player. But not everything supports that. And with the new addition here to YouTube Premium Lite, you will get that background playback on basically everything except for music and shorts, and in addition to that, your offline playback. So, I like as I looked through the news that we were covering this week, I was like, this is weird. Like every week, Richard, we're talking about how some streaming service is getting more expensive. You're not getting anything extra out of it. It's just getting more expensive. So here's some strategies to deal with that. And this is kind of the opposite.
And maybe starting to, yeah. And some of those, they're maybe starting to charge you for things that you used to get at a lower tier, right? Like the
Right.
certain things are being relegated to higher tiers. So that they're bringing things down is amazing. Josh, this is the service that I wanted. This is the YouTube that I was asking for long ago, that you and I had said way before, that I just don't want to have to pay for music, but I want to get everything else.
Right.
And this is pretty much the everything else. And I think we know how I feel about shorts. So I'm not missing anything there that they're going to have ads, because I'm not going to see any of those ads. And I think, if it were not for the fact that through Verizon, I'm getting YouTube Premium for half price, so I'm paying $7, then this would be the plan that I would want.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal. It's a pretty good deal. I do wish that it was more in that like Amazon Prime range where they're like, you don't want to deal with ads? Just give us $3 a month. I would gladly pay YouTube $3 a month. Am I just being a cheapskate that it's $8 as opposed to $3? Probably. But it still seems like a lot just to turn off ads.
But it's not just that anymore, right? The
Right.
ability to download, that's a big deal for me. I download stuff all the time when I go on a plane.
Hmm.
And I have found myself more and more including YouTube videos in that. So that's awesome. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. It's a nice couple of features to get added for free. Cool. All right. So another interesting sort of similar paradigm here in the audiobook space. So Audible has been basically the king of audiobooks for, well, basically forever. And the way that it's pretty much always worked is you give them $15 a month, you get access to a huge library of books, and for $15 a month, they will give you 1 credit per month. And it's basically just, hey, go and pick a book to buy. And it works for almost every book in their library, but maybe not all of the ones that are like ridiculously long. And you spend that credit on whatever book you want, and you keep it forever. If you cancel your subscription and then come back 3 years later and renew, you've still got access to every book that you purchased, whether you just bought it outright with money or bought it with these monthly credits that you get. And it's great. And then there's also a library that is free, that's almost like borrowing audiobooks from the library if you're in this premium tier. Well, 15 books, $15 a month for some people still seems like a lot just for books, right? So Audible still wants you to be a customer. So they're opening a plan that's less money. So this new plan is called the Standard Plan, and it's $8.99 a month. The way that it's worded is a little bit confusing. So you still have access to the whole library. You still get to pick 1 book a month, but you don't actually necessarily keep it forever. So let's say you're subscribed to this service for 3 months in a row, January, February, and March. In January, you get a book. February, you get a book. March, you get a book. In March, you can read any of those 3 books. But if you cancel in April, you don't get to listen to any of them anymore. And it's only those books. So, I mean, you can resubscribe. And I think theoretically, if you resubscribe, you could probably get the other ones, but that's not super clear that you would retain access to the ones that you previously had. You also get access to their big library of exclusive podcasts. Audible did go out and purchase the rights to a lot of podcast producers and stuff. So there are Audible exclusive podcasts out there that you get access to through both of these plans. And then, of course, the Premium Plus plan for $15 a month, it's not really changing. It's still the plan that has always existed. And on the surface, this feels a little bit weird, but in reality, it's kind of similar to what Spotify has been doing with audiobooks, with one really important difference. So with Spotify, you can either straight up buy a just audiobook only plan, which is $10 a month, or if you're just a regular premium subscriber for $13 a month, you get all of your ad-free music and you get access to a large catalog of books. It's not as big as Audible's, but you get access to the whole catalog. But the way that it works is you get 15 hours to listen per month. That's it. If you want to spread that out across multiple books, you can. But if you also want to listen to a book that's 20 hours long, well, tough. You're going to get 15 hours this month, and you're going to have to wait until next month to finish it.
It's so weird.
Weird. It is weird. But so I guess it really comes down to which of those weird services sounds less weird to you. Which one fits your reading patterns better? Do you just want one book a month? Then maybe Audible's it. But if you're like the type of person who tries a chapter of a book and then gives up quite frequently and switches to another book, well, then Spotify is probably the better option for you.
Yeah. Although if you are the standard book buyer and, you're going to read a lot in a month, I have a hard time. I really have a hard time with that Spotify subscription. It just doesn't, that time limit just doesn't make any sense to me. Plus, if you just get them for the audiobooks, it's even more expensive than this less expensive plan from Audible now. And maybe that's what Audible's after. Maybe they're saying, hey, there's other services now kind of coming up on our territory. How can we undercut them?
Right.
And this does with greater flexibility, potentially.
And a bigger library. Like the Audible library is over 1 million books, and the Spotify library is about 500,000 books.
Yeah.
Now you're saying of these give you the ability to purchase extra books. Like in Spotify, that 15-hour limit doesn't apply to anything you've purchased. It's just 15 hours towards anything that you haven't purchased.
Right. And that same thing is true in Audible. If you purchase something with money, then that thing you purchased with money is yours to keep forever.
Right.
And just as a clarifying point, you were saying you're not sure if you'd get access to your old books if you were to renew this new standard plan. That is possible with the Premium Plus plan. With the Premium Plus plan, you get access to everything again, but the thing is, you never lost it. And this is what most people forget about with the premium program that Audible's had for years and years. You could not be subscribed, but still be able to log in and access everything you've ever gotten from them and listen to it, even if you're not paying them right now.
Right.
And that's what they mean by you have it forever, as long as they don't die.
Right. Yes.
Right, because it's a digital file that's exclusive to them.
Yeah. Or some crazy licensing situation happens or yes.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, let us know if Audible's new standard plan is right up your alley and if you'll be switching to that or if this will be the thing that gets you to really try out audiobooks. And with that, we'll jump into the last story of the week, our gaming story. Huge news dropping on Friday afternoon. I believe first reported by Ryan McCaffrey over at IGN. And of course, big sort of bad news drops on a Friday afternoon. That's how it always works out. And
of course,
this was pretty huge. So it starts with the headline here is Phil Spencer retires from Microsoft after 38 years. Phil Spencer, who's been running all of Microsoft gaming, Xbox, everything, all of it, reporting directly to CEO Satya Nadella. He's done. He's out. He is leaving. And they've appointed a new CEO. And it's not who anyone expected. It is a new person to Microsoft Gaming. Her name, I believe I'm pronouncing this correctly, is Asha Sharma. She's not new to Microsoft. She had been previously leading the Core AI group. But she's taking the position that a lot of people suspected that Sarah Bond would take when Phil eventually left. And that's not what happened at all. In fact, Sarah Bond is out too, and that may not have been even necessarily her decision. That feels a little bit up in the air. Either it was her decision because she was getting passed up for the role that she wanted, or it wasn't her decision. It's interesting that in the official press releases from Satya Nadella, the Microsoft CEO, Phil Spencer on his way out, and Asha Sharma on her way in, only one of those three people even referenced Sarah Bond, and that was Phil Spencer, who thanked her for all of the work that she had done. So that's interesting. Matt Booty has also been a pretty big name in the Microsoft gaming space for a long, long time. He gets a promotion now. Also, he is promoted to EVP and Chief Content Officer, reporting directly to Asha Sharma, sorry. And this feels like an even bigger role for him. It's basically saying, Matt Booty, you own all of our game studios. They all report to you now. You figure out the overall strategy for all of our game creation studios. Okay, so what does this actually mean, and who the heck is Asha Sharma? Like I said, she's a name that like no one in the gaming industry had ever heard of. You know, I've listened to a lot. I've read a lot of things. No one had ever heard of her. She comes from the Core AI group at Microsoft. Before that, she's been with Meta. She's been at Instacart. You know, she's been at some big places. She's done a lot of big things. But when you come from the AI group, that makes a lot of people nervous. So
yeah,
smartly, in her first official announcement and letter to the company and stuff, she said, listen, like, we're not here to put out a bunch of AI slop. That is not the direction we are going to take Microsoft and Xbox and Microsoft Gaming. So what direction are they taking it? We're not really sure, because this kind of feels like it happened really fast. Like it kind of has the vibes of like Phil rage quitting. I don't think that's actually what happened, but it just feels like it was very sudden, because now Sharma is going around and she's meeting with all of the studio heads and all of that sort of stuff to learn what has worked, what hasn't worked, all of that, while she figures out what the strategy will be. You know, one of her actual quotes is the plan until it's not the plan. And it sounds like kind of a ridiculous statement, but like, I get it. She's just saying,
yeah,
I'm still new. I'm still figuring all of this out. I'm not going to jump to a bunch of rash decisions before I really know what makes sense here. And
that's smart.
It is smart, right? So in the short term, everything stays the way that it's been going while we figure out where to take this beast. And where it goes, it's been like the words that have come out of her mouth and Matt Booty's mouth, they're very vague. They're a little bit contradictory at times, but they keep using the phrase like this is a return to Xbox and what Xbox was. They're definitely talking about a focus on consoles and hardware, and that hardware still has a place, that the Xbox console is not going anywhere, that there will probably be another one. So that's good, I think. But yeah, they're saying that nothing is off the table, but it's going to take them some time to figure out what the strategy is and where to take this company, which I think is reasonable and the right way to approach a major shakeup like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the immediate reactions were rough. Like most of the immediate reactions were along the lines of, "Oh my gosh, she's coming from AI. This is clearly Microsoft and Satya Nadella saying we're just going to use AI to solve all of our problems. We can lay off a bunch more game developers and just use AI to write everything." it doesn't sound like that's really actually going to be the plan. That would be really bad if it was. I don't think that's where we're going, though. So, didn't love that. And then another piece that I didn't love is Tom Warren over at The Verge, who I generally think is a good journalist. He came out a few days later and wrote what can really only be described as a hit piece on Sarah Bond, where he was like, yeah, Sarah Bond's gone because a bunch of people said she's really hard to work with. And it just essentially blaming her for everything that's gone wrong at Microsoft in the last couple of years, blaming her for the essentially everything is an Xbox campaign and all of that. And that all feels really gross to me for a few reasons. One is, so we're practically going to knight Phil Spencer on his way out the door. That he saved Xbox after that disastrous Xbox One launch and did all of these great things. What are a couple of words we could use to describe Phil Spencer? White and male. What are a couple of words we could use to describe Sarah Bond? Black and female. And she's the one we're going to throw all this at? Well, that seems gross. What else is gross about that? Who's the actual boss? It's Phil. Even if some of these strategies were Sarah Bond's ideas, Phil got on board with them. It's Microsoft, for crying out loud. No one is making decisions in a vacuum at Microsoft. So if you think that any of those strategies were absolutely idiotic, then Phil has to at least share the blame for all of that. And I just find it gross to be throwing all of the blame at Sarah Bond and just pretending like Phil Spencer did nothing but great. And it's just, it's too problematic. I don't love it. So that's the huge news. There's not really any other announcements other than the shakeups because, like I said, it does feel like this kind of got rushed. Like they're announcing it and now they're figuring out what to do next. So I'm trying to remain optimistic. This new leader, Asha Sharma, she's not really a gamer. She doesn't have much of a gaming history. I'm not concerned about that. Like the leader at Nintendo, also not a big time gamer. The leader at Sony PlayStation, also not somebody with tons of gaming pedigree. You can clearly be successful in this industry without being a hardcore gamer with a gamer score higher than everybody else that you know. Let's stop being so precious about this. Our industry is so special. We have to have experts and true-blooded gamers. No, that's ridiculous. That's not necessary. So I'm going to be cautiously optimistic and give her the benefit of the doubt because the things she's saying right now, they're the things that I would want any new leader to be saying. Although it would be nice if it was a little less vague, a little bit more clear, but that I'm going to chalk that up to the rather sudden release of all of this news and that maybe they were trying to do a little bit more of this before it fully got announced. So that's it with Xbox.
Wow. I can't believe I was kind of blind to all that drama going on. It kind of reminds me of when they brought Iger in to take over after Iger's initial successor turned out to be a complete disaster and everyone wanted him gone. So Iger stepped back in and it was one of these weekend over the like a holiday weekend or something. And then on Monday, everybody's like, yep, you're out. And we have this guy, your predecessor, ready to step back in.
Yeah.
And so, when you say it sounds rushed, it absolutely sounds rushed. And, what the thing that I worry about when I hear about stuff like this is just the overall morale of the team.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have hundreds, if not thousands of people who are now worried about what this means. What direction are we going? And if he left, then should I be thinking that we're the soul of this organization is gone, and maybe I should be looking elsewhere? It's always a time of uncertainty when big drama happens above you in an organization.
Yeah. Yeah. Great points. And I think the first indicator that we will see there is, do we see any of the like main leadership at any of the studios start to leave?
Yeah.
But maybe there's some isolation there because things haven't changed that much on the studio side, with Matt Booty still being at the helm on that side of it.
Yep.
And for anybody who is worried about, oh, Asha Sharma, she's not a hardcore gamer. Matt Booty is. Like, she is surrounded by people who are, and that's why I'm not concerned about it. So she's got the people that she needs there. So yeah, if we start seeing some bigwigs from Activision or Blizzard or Double Fine or Bethesda decide, yeah, I think it's time for me to go start something different, then I'm going to be a little bit more concerned.
Yep.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Well, that is it for all of our news this week. So, Richard, why don't you tell us what's been going on in your entertainment center?
Yeah. So first, some of the tangible stuff. As I was getting ready to pack up and come down to our vacation rental for some maintenance and construction that we're doing, just days before, I got an email message from Verizon notifying me that my cable card devices, should I still have any, would no longer be working, which is really interesting because I don't have cable service anymore. But I do actually have some old cable cards that I never returned. And maybe that's what triggered the email message. I don't know. But this is kind of the nail in the coffin here, where we have one of the biggest providers of content through cable saying, yeah, cable card, we're not supporting it anymore officially. We're turning it off. Your devices aren't going to work anymore. And we're starting to see in forums and other discussion areas that people are reporting that their TiVos are not working anymore. Yep. That's the effect it's going to have. Your TiVo's not going to work anymore.
Wow.
So I've had some discussions with people looking for TiVo alternatives. There's Tableau, there's channels. There are options, of course, but it means kind of rethinking how you get your content. And
there aren't many options that are cable card, though.
Well, no, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't, because you can't use your cable card anymore, right? So you're looking for alternatives for the way that you got the content through cable.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm aware, TV Everywhere content still works through channels. I don't know how long everyone's going to be supporting TV Everywhere, because that's kind of here's a term of old, over the top service that most of the providers weren't thrilled to offer, but realized that they needed to make everybody happy. I don't know how much longer that's going to survive. So yeah, end of an age.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I mentioned that I was coming down to the vacation rental, and down here, when I'm here, I use my Google TV Chromecast. And I don't know if I mentioned this previously, but that thing is a dog nowadays. It is so slow. And every time I want to upgrade something or add something, it's like, you've run out of memory. Oh, lovely. Okay. So I finally bought a new On, ONN, that's the Walmart brand of electronics stuff, an On branded Google TV device. It's just like a size of a hockey puck, roughly. Smaller, actually. $30. Faster, better, much better remote. And now that's what I'm using when I'm down here. $30. That's your entry price for a Google TV nowadays, which is impressive.
Yeah. So is this the one that, like, is it a flat, like, matte plastic on top, or does it have the cloth top?
No, it's just plastic.
Okay, so that's probably just the regular on Google streaming device, not the on 4K Pro.
I mean, it is 4K.
Yeah, this one is still
It's
4K,
just not.
but
It's not the Pro.
yeah,
It's not the Pro.
yeah. I'm looking at the Walmart site right now, and it's saying $19.88 for that. So I don't know if that's on sale or what, but maybe you even paid extra for it.
Maybe it went down. No,
Right.
I don't know. I mean,
It's a
when
price
I bought it,
rollback at Walmart.
right? That's what they do.
Right.
When I bought it, it was several months ago. So
Okay.
I just started using it now.
Nice.
And then we were talking about Audible, which made me think about my own Audible subscription, which I had paused. And then I realized I was starting to get charged again. And I don't really want to get charged again because I have more credits that I'm using. So I went to pause it again. And they have changed their pausing policy. You can now pause your Audible account, which means you won't get charged for new you won't get new credits and you won't be charged for them for only 90 days. And you can now only do that once every year.
What?
Yeah. So if I still have credits, and this is the thing, like if I just had books, I could, like we were saying before, just cancel my service and still have access to all my books. But I have credits that I haven't used yet, and I don't know what I want yet. I want to still use them when I want to use them. I have 4 credits. So to use them, I need to still have an account and that's active, except you can pause it and then still use your, and they used to let you do it for 6 months at a time. Now it's 3 months and only 3 months every year.
That's crazy.
Kind of crappy.
That feels
Kinda
so
crappy.
anti-consumer.
Yep. It's really crappy. So anyway,
So
as
it
far
sounds like you need listeners to write in with some book suggestions for you.
maybe, yeah, possibly, or just go through the wish list and pick my favorites from my wish list and just buy them rather
Right.
than just considering them.
Get your work book club. Be like, hey guys, we need to pick our next 4 books.
Right. Exactly. All right. So as far as what I've been consuming content-wise, I am caught up with and thoroughly enjoying the TV show Stumble. I have mentioned, Josh, you asked me about that recently. I thought maybe your wife would enjoy it. Has she tried it yet?
Not yet. There's been a lot of other things that we've been trying to finish up, so not yet.
Okay. All right. I still stand by it. It continues to deliver laugh out loud moments. So I'm thoroughly enjoying that. And then I'm continuing to watch Starfleet Academy and a lot of videos on YouTube about Starfleet Academy because apparently Starfleet Academy has a lot of people really, really annoyed. And part of it is that it is very different from anything that Star Trek has done before. It feels kind of like the OC meets Star Trek, and that has people really bothered because it's the story of younger people, kids basically, in their college years that are in this college that just happens to be Starfleet. And I still think it's good. I'm still enjoying it. It has its problems, but I like the characters. I like the way they're developing the characters. It's also getting a lot of pushback from the very conservative crowd because it has a whole lot of diversity. And it's representing characters that not everybody thinks should get represented in the Star Trek universe. And that's creating a whole bunch of hate videos on YouTube.
Like, diversity has been a mainstay in Star Trek from the beginning.
Yep.
It's part of the premise of the show.
Yeah. As an example, and this is probably the least offensive of anything that anyone might get upset about, there is a particular character who's a female of their species. But that wasn't supposed to be possible. So it's an abomination that there's this female character in this species, because that's not canon. You can't do that. Now, I'm confident that they will eventually explain this, and they kind of have already. But nope, people are not happy. So everybody just needs to chill a little bit.
Right.
And maybe enjoy some entertainment and some stories and like other source materials that we take a little bit too seriously. Just maybe enjoy and learn from them.
Yes. We need more of that message, Richard. Keep repeating it.
All right. As I mentioned, am trying to get back to Fallout. I've only watched a couple episodes. I think I had watched just the first one or two before. Josh, I'm having a hard time.
This is not a show for everyone, Richard.
There's so much going on, and it's all so weird, and I'm just having a hard time. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I'm going to give it maybe one or two more episodes.
Is the weirdness of the show the problem, or all of the different storylines?
I think it's I think it's a combination of the two. So it's as an example, in episode 2, they have an actor who played a mysterious character in Lost, plays a mysterious character on this show. And you come to like him, but you still don't really understand motivations. And it's this short-term storyline that you're like, what? Like, why did I spend all that time invested in that storyline? And then you move on to something else. And I'm not feeling it. Not feeling it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Now, on the other hand, the very short series, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which was a prequel to the Game of Thrones series, is done now. It was only 6 episodes long, and I loved it. It was phenomenal. Episode 5 is really hard to watch. It is brutal. And that was a bit of a departure because the earlier episodes were just fun and happy and character development and what a change from Game of Thrones. And then episode 5 is just brutal. And then episode 6 kind of wraps things up very nicely for the season and sets us up for a next season, which we know will be coming. So I'm looking forward to it. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It's a bummer we have to wait, I think, until 2027 for the next season. But, a year a season.
That's not
It's
bad.
not like Silo or
Severance.
or Severance, right?
Or
Exactly.
The Night Agent. How about 10 years, Richard? You got 10 years?
No, Night Manager. That's Night Manager.
Right.
Night Agent
Night Manager.
is only like every 2 years.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. Okay. As far as other stuff that I was watching, Olympic highlights as that wrapped up. And how cool that we won with both of our hockey teams. How friggin' cool is that?
Yeah. Yeah. Like 100% expected that the women would win. I'm a hockey fanatic. I gave the U.S. men's team a 15% chance of winning gold. That was a magical morning. It was not a miraculous morning. I'm not going to go that far. There's only been one Olympic miracle.
Yep.
Nice.
But
it was pretty great. It was pretty great.
It was good. And it was funny too, because we very rarely watch sports in our house. And during the Olympics, I had the Olympics on all the time. It's rare that we have hockey on in the family room. And that morning, I had that on, and Ever just let me go, let me have it. So I'm like, we are watching. I didn't even have to say it. It was just, we are watching this.
Right.
So, yeah, that was cool. And then we also watched the most recent, it's not all that new now, but the most recent Knives Out movie called Wake Up Dead Man. That was fun. That was really cool. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Did you get a chance to watch that yet?
I've never watched any of the Knives Out movies.
Really?
Really?
Oh, they're so good. But you need to like the whole Agatha Christie model, right? Because this is a Poirot or Agatha Christie kind of caper where they go through all the different people and how they may or may not have been involved as they figure it out. I like it. I think they did a good job. I was a little confused. This one was hard to keep up with, but it was good. Also, on the political front, I watched not the State of the Union, but a lot of post-State of the Union commentary. And then also, because I am an election geek, I watched returns come in last night, which was interesting and disturbing. So we'll have a couple more of those over the next couple of months as different states start to have their primaries.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully your post-State of the Union commentary stuff that you were watching was the next day with how long that State of the Union went.
Oh, I gave up. I totally gave up. I was too tired. I'm like, I can't stay up to watch anything now. I'm exhausted.
So long.
So yeah, that was ridiculous. Longest State of the Union, I don't think in history, but in modern times. And it's just, yeah. And as far as audiobooks, I think I had mentioned that I gave up on the DevOps Handbook. We had our final discussion of that, and now we are reading a book called Hyper Efficient, and it talks about the different states of how you use your brain and the difference between kind of relaxing and focusing, and then being hyper aware in, say, an emergency or something stressful that you really need to be just pinpointed on, and how you optimize your use of those different modes of thinking. So kind of interesting so far. I'm enjoying it. And that's it for me. So Josh, what's going on in your entertainment center?
All right. Well, on the project front, my Plex server situation has been very stable. It's been great. I finally, actually just today, buttoned up the box and put the case all back on and moved it to the basement, because I really don't have any reason to keep this thing in my office. it can live in the basement. And if it needs to be loud or not, I don't care. It's in the basement because it's just a server. And so that's great. Except I had one problem. I've been watching, I really, really love the Bourne movies, especially the first three. And so I was trying to watch a 4K rip, like a full 4K, just straight up rip with like, all of the fancy audio and all of that stuff. In my living room on my 4K TV through my on 4K Pro device, and it just wouldn't play, would not play. Like I'd go to start it and it would just spin and do nothing. Go to the Plex dashboard, it doesn't even show that anything's playing yet. It's just dying. And I'm like, I wonder if it's trying to transcode, and this server cannot handle the transcoding for sure.
Yeah.
And maybe this box that I'm trying to stream from can't handle can't natively view it either. I was like, I should get off my butt and go try this from the NVIDIA Shield TV to see if it can do it. I have not tried that yet. That box is in the basement, didn't want to deal with that. So instead, I watched the 1080p version from your Plex server, and that worked just fine.
I'm glad you were able to do that.
Yes. So, yeah, that's where my projects are. And I guess I'll just finish out my movies. So I did watch The Bourne Identity. I've watched The Bourne Supremacy. Need to watch The Bourne Ultimatum again soon. They're just so good. So good. And then I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he was giving me a hard time for how bad I am at like recognizing actors and stuff like that, and getting confused about, characters in the same movie and stuff. And I said, this came up as we were talking about Fallout, actually. And I was like, well, let me tell you the really embarrassing story of this problem of mine. I watched The Departed many years ago at home, and I was watching it by myself, probably late in the evening, a little bit sleepy. I ended up falling asleep during part of the movie, which...
Well, I mean, it is 3.5 hours long.
I think it's only a 2.5. It's kind of long, but
it's really long.
The falling asleep is not because it's a bad movie. It's a fantastic movie. But Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon are the two main characters, two of the three main characters in that movie. And when I was watching that movie, I couldn't tell the difference between them. I thought they were one person. I thought they were the same person. And if you know the story, you can kind of understand how that might be true until it gets to, towards the end. And then I was like, oh, these aren't the same people. But I couldn't tell the difference. So I had to rewatch The Departed over the last 2 days. And my God, is that movie good? But woof, that's really violent. And yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you can't deal with the violence, just remember, this is a Martin Scorsese movie. So yeah, there's a lot of people getting shot in that movie. But it was so good. And this time around, I could tell the difference between Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio. So I feel better.
Good.
Yeah. On the gaming front, it's mostly been NHL and Helldivers, so it's not really all that worth talking about. But I did start something new. There's a game on Game Pass that it's available on Xbox and PC and cloud gaming. It's everywhere on Game Pass. It is called Dredge, and it is a fishing game where like you're this fisherman and you are at this collection of islands, and there just seems to be some funny stuff going around, and things get real weird if you try going to fish at night. And the descriptions of this game make it sound like, especially as the game progresses and you have to do more fishing at night, that it gets really stressful and like almost like horror levels of scariness type stuff going on. And for some strange reason, I'm also just a sucker for a game that has fishing. And I don't know why, but I like it when games have fishing. And
okay.
So I'm a couple hours into this game. I'm really enjoying it. It hasn't gotten that intense or scary yet, but I'm hoping it will soon because that sounds cool. but it's fun. And if you have Game Pass, like, there's no reason not to check it out. It's called Dredge, like, one of the ways that you can fish for things from a boat. TV. We're, of course, up to date on The Pit because it's so good.
Yay. I just heard a really good interview today. Kai Ryssdal on Marketplace interviewed the showrunner.
Oh.
In an extended interview in today's episode, and it was very, very good.
I had given up on Marketplace a long time ago, but maybe I should go listen to that episode.
Yeah.
I finished Fallout Season 2. It's good. Like like I said to Richard, Fallout is not a show for everybody. And if you like Fallout, I think you'll probably like all of Season 2. I'm a little bit confused about where we're going from here, other than one of the main character storylines, but we'll see. And then also the show Paradise is back. So we watched Season 2, Episode 1 of that. This season starts with a whole lot of different characters in a different place. And I don't know how to feel about that just yet. So they did release 3 episodes at once. I think there's at least 3 or 4 episodes already available. And so maybe if we had binged a couple of the first episodes instead of just one, I wouldn't be feeling so uneasy about it. But we've really liked Season 1 of Paradise, and so I'm really hoping that Season 2 is going to continue that trajectory. So we'll see.
So let's pretend, and we don't have to pretend, that I don't know anything about this show. What is it?
Oof. That's funny because Eden hadn't watched any of it, any of Season 1 with us. And I was like, let's watch this. And so I was sitting there like at the title screen for the series. And she's like, what is this about? And so I just read her the sentence that was on the screen because I'm a jerk. And it is the most like unhelpful description ever. Because the description is just like, this dude is assigned to, he's like a Secret Service agent for the president. And that's like all it tells you. It is one of those shows, though, that you want to go in not knowing much.
Okay.
What I will say is the main character is a Secret Service agent who is protecting the president, and catastrophe strikes, and there's a lot of mystery.
Sounds right up my alley.
Yes. So definitely worth checking out. It's on Hulu and or Disney Plus. I think you can watch it on either of them. Yeah. Okay, and then in books, I have started, I'm probably 40% of the way through a book called Multipliers. This is another one of those management style books recommended by someone else that I follow on LinkedIn. It's been really good in terms of like telling you good strategies for various ways of being a better leader and how not to be a good leader. So Multipliers by Liz Wiseman is the book there. All right, that's what's going on in my entertainment center. So that's it for this week's show. If you'd like to get a hold of us, send us your feedback. You can do that in one of many, many, many different ways. I'm on Twitter at Josh Pollard, also Josh Pollard on Blue Sky, and the website is DigiMediaZone on Twitter. If you want Richard, he's Richard Gunther on Mastodon and richardgunther.com on Blue Sky. And then, of course, our email address and every other way that you can get a hold of us is in our show notes over at www.thedigitalmediazone.com. So head over there, find our contact info, go to our YouTube page, subscribe to the channel over there, ring the bell to get the notifications for the new videos.
They've combined that now. Have you seen that?
No.
Now when you subscribe to something, subscribing is like, how do you want to subscribe? Do you want to get notifications? How do you want to get notified? It's really annoying.
Ooh, don't love that.
Yeah.
But if you love us, then please go and push that button and figure that out.
Oh yeah, do all those things.
Right. I'm sure it's not that bad. You can do it for our show. But that is going to do it for episode 705. He's Richard Gunther, and I'm Josh Pollard. Thanks for listening to Entertainment 2.0. Adios.
Goodbye.